We're taught to see him as the ultimate savior, the king of the gods who brought order to a chaotic universe. But if you look past the myth, you find a completely different reality. Zeus was a deeply paranoid, broken ruler, a man who systematically destroyed everyone he loved to protect his own crown. For thousands of years, history has wrapped him in an impenetrable aura of law, justice, and divine authority. We look at the marble statues and see absolute confidence. But the grand, epic poetry is actually a brilliant cover-up. It hides the dark, psychological reality of what happens when absolute power slowly rots a mind from the inside out. To understand his decay, we have to look at how he got the throne. Zeus had to violently overthrow his own father, Cronus, a monster so terrified of losing power that he swallowed his own children whole at birth. Surviving that trauma meant launching a brutal 10-year cosmic war against the older gods. Zeus ripped control of the universe away from his father, claiming he was bringing permanent peace. This chart shows the cruelest trap in Greek mythology. While he won the physical battle, Zeus inherited a fatal psychological curse woven into the machinery of the cosmos, dictating an inescapable loop. Every supreme ruler is fated to be violently dethroned by his own son. Taking the crown didn't bring Zeus any relief. It handed him a lifelong, paralyzing terror that the exact same cycle was coming for him. That terror found a target in his first wife, Metis. She was the titaness of wisdom and the brilliant strategic mind who actually helped him secure the throne in the first place. But a prophecy warned Metis would eventually bear a son far more powerful than his father, a son who would rip the universe from Zeus's hands. Overnight, the way he looked at her changed. The loving partner vanished from his eyes, and he saw only the impending vessel for his own destruction. You cannot execute a prophecy with a lightning bolt. To stop destiny, Zeus had to abandon his heroic ideals and use calculated, sinister deception. He coaxed Metis into a playful contest of changing shapes, and the second she transformed into a tiny fly, he snapped his jaws shut and swallowed her alive. By physically consuming the very embodiment of wisdom, he thought he had secured his reign. Instead, he trapped his paranoia deep inside his own mind, ensuring he could never escape it. For centuries, that decision kept him physically safe, but it completely eroded his ability to connect with anyone around him. His queen, Hera, watched the betrayal and saw her husband's capacity for cruelty. Over the eons, her affection froze over, replaced by a quiet, seething resentment as she waited in the shadows for him to slip. The king's erratic behavior and constant betrayals eventually pushed his own brothers away. Poseidon retreated to the deepest trenches of the ocean, choosing the company of sea monsters over the constant friction and dysfunction of the Olympian court. Hades followed a similar path, sealing the iron gates of the underworld and severing ties with the brother who had cheated him in the past. The halls of Olympus grew quiet as the gods who shared his blood realized that proximity to Zeus was a liability. Eventually, Zeus was left sitting entirely alone at the head of a massive, echoing table. His desperate obsession with holding on to the crown didn't secure his empire. It shattered his family and slowly turned Mount Olympus into a silent, gilded prison. The only ones left were his chaotic heirs, Ares, Apollo, Athena. They spent their days violently fighting among themselves, playing cruel, petty games with mortal lives just to spite one another. Surrounded by this constant dysfunction, Zeus's paranoia spiraled out of control. If a servant dropped a cup, he saw a planned assassination. If the wind blew hard from the north, he heard an invading army. He stopped sleeping, he stopped trusting. The sheer psychological exhaustion of immortality becomes unbearable when you are constantly waiting for the knife in your back. Strip away the golden halls and the epic poems, and Mount Olympus reveals itself for what it really was, a desolate, lonely fortress suspended in the sky. The tragic irony of absolute power is that protecting it requires absolute, suffocating isolation. Zeus overthrew a tyrant to save the universe, only to replicate his father's exact cruelty. He conquered the sky, defeated legendary beasts, and brought titans to their knees, but he completely lost his own grounding and his capacity for love. He spent eons hunting legendary beasts and securing the sky, yet he failed to recognize the silhouette staring back in the mirror. Zeus had become the very thing he fought to replace, a monster in a crown. Holding supreme authority without a single soul to trust is a living death. So the next time you look up at a raging storm, do not fear his anger, pity his silence.